Hey everyone, this is Noah Mean on the Arc of Truth, and today we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court. Now, I'm actually glad that I took a class this semester in WSU for the American Constitution, because in that class, we not only talked about the American Constitution in general, but we also talked about Supreme Court cases, how they were ruled, how it sets standards and doctrines that the Supreme Court uses to this very day. And like Marbury v. Madison, they matched to develop the horizontal judiciary review, which is where the Supreme Court could look into either the legislative or the executive actions and see whether or not they were constitutional or not. So that makes me kind of glad to have that class at the time. Now, I've already heard so much about the whole topic of religious liberty, which is something that I'm too am very much a proponent for, because as a man who is against same-sex marriage mainly because of a religious background, there are other reasons as well. If you want me to talk about more of my position on gay marriage, please let me know in the comments below. But I'm getting ahead of myself. As a man who is against gay marriage based upon religious backgrounds, it would be kind of a violation of my civil liberties under the First Amendment to forcibly do things like, say, bake a cake for a gay wedding, despite the fact that I'm practicing my religion that says that isn't the right thing to do. Now, there are many Christians out there who are in cake bakeries and that they serve gay wedding cakes, but this is not the point. The point is on whether or not you are allowed to basically have the right to refuse the service based upon an event that you are against because of your faith. So here's the story. In Colorado, there was this baker who was supposed to be making a wedding cake. Well, that was the story in Colorado. It turns out this couple was gay. And this guy was a very devout Christian. I mean, very devout. Not only does he not do gay wedding cakes, but he also doesn't do Halloween, and I think a few other things as well. It's just kind of weird because I'm a very religious Christian and I celebrate Halloween. But anyway, he said that he didn't want to, and he did say stay in the Bible. Now, before you get into the idea that this is a form of discrimination against gay people, let me tell you something about this. He offered to bake them other goods. At that point, they just stormed out and left. And then that's where the whole Supreme case issue comes in. This was back in 2012. And right now, there was already a ruling, 7-2 actually, that allowed the baker to say no to allow him to not serve not bake a cake for a gay wedding based upon his religious beliefs, which is kind of a little bit surprising because some of the judges there, like Justice Kennedy, he actually supported the legalization of gay marriage, and yet supported was on the side of the baker instead of the gay couple. Although, to be fair to him, he did say back in 2015 that he says we should also have respect for those who do not like this based upon religious faith. So here's some of the concurrences and the official written opinion here. This is what I got here is from CNN. I know, not the best news source, especially with the fake news and stuff, but still, it has a lot of things going on. Kennedy wrote, and I'm quoting this from the CNN article, by the way. Kennedy wrote that there is room for religious tolerance, pointing specifically to how the Colorado Commission treated Phillips by downplaying his religious liberty concerns. That is a major factor in this, and especially this issue. You see, the First Amendment grants us freedom of religion, and that includes the ability to practice how we want to do our faith. But of course, there are some restrictions to that, like say polygamy for Mormons. Though I'm just saying I'm just trying to be fair with you, Mormon viewers. There was back at a time where there was polygamy, and the U.S. government didn't like that, so they kind of restricted it. I just making that point right now. Now here's the thing. Kennedy basically referred to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. This was not obviously a commerce case because it didn't really affect too much of interstate commerce or intrastate commerce. Interstate commerce is going from one state, say California, to another state like Oregon. Interstate is just going around the entire traveling around the entire state that is currently where the business is. So that would not be a legitimate case. And here's another thing. Since this was definitely an individual civil liberties case, I think it would be fair to say that it was obviously going to go to the baker from the start. Like I said before, this was the whole idea of freedom of religion is factored inside the First Amendment, and that includes the practicing of religion. There are a lot of denominations out there, like in Christianity, where religion is taught differently. Like say for for Mennonites, they're very religious, and they don't like the idea of listening to other radio networks except Christian music, or at least that's from my understanding. But that's just how it is, because they're practicing their own religion in a peaceful manner, and it's not doing so in the violation of federal law. Now here are a few dissents. I can't, for some reason, I cannot find the concurrences, but from what I can tell, Neil Gorsuch and another judge, I don't recall what his name was, actually concurred, but with different reasonings. So here's Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who actually was one of the two dissenting figures in the Supreme Court about this. She specifically states that, alongside Sonia Sotomayor, who was the other dissenting judge, that when a couple contacts a bakery for a wedding cake, the product they are seeking is a cake celebrating their wedding, not a cake celebrating heterosexual weddings or same-sex weddings, and that is a service the couple were denied. Here's the thing about that. They were denied. True, they were denied that service because that baker said that he doesn't practice that sort of thing in his bakery, but he did offer a different service instead of that. So how could it... That really does not make sense to me in their own dissent. Usually, the kind of service that what they're talking about would be a form of discrimination, denying the service. But he offered them a different alternative. He was willing to bake different cakes, different goods, but he would not do the gay wedding cake. That's it. He tried to give them an alternative instead. That, which is definitely brings down this whole argument that Sotomayor and Ginsburg are trying to make. Now, here, I'll try to figure out what the other concurrences are, but again, the ruling was 7-2. Despite the fact that a few of CNN and analysis actually say that this is a very narrow decision. No, 5-4 is narrow, and that would be the case of the legalization of gay marriage. And I forgot what the court case name was, but again, it was 5-4. That is very narrow, not 7-2. Definitely not 7-2. So here, let me see here. Okay, I think I may have found it. I'll do the best and see if this is, whether or not this is a concurrence. But Justice Wagner, I think that's what he is. He said, that Jack, the baker, serves all customers. He simply declines to express messages or celebrate events that violate his deeply held beliefs. Creative professionals who serve all people should be free to create art consistent with their convictions without the threat of government punishment. Again, this focuses on the First Amendment. As a federal government, and with this amendment in place, the federal government cannot do anything. They cannot even convert you to another religion, and they cannot do anything that could violate your deeply held beliefs. That's a big difference. Usually there isn't, I don't recall a lot of nations that have something like this First Amendment. Yeah, there are a few nations that say that freedom of religion is allowed, but I'm just talking about the applying of the First Amendment in their own constitution, something that cannot easily be changed. So here, with this sort of thing, with this concurrence, where that the baker is allowed to practice his baking in his own way, and the fact that he obviously doesn't celebrate some events that violate his beliefs, like I say again, gay weddings and Halloween, it's really not the government's business to meddle in the affairs. Now, the reason why Wagner actually says creative professionals who serve all people should be free to create art consistent with their convictions without the threat of government punishment, is because there was the Colorado Civil Rights Commission actually forced this guy to try to bake a wedding cake for this couple, despite the fact that he argued under religious faith grounds. That is how this concurrence was established. So personally, I think that this is a very good. I think it's actually a pretty good ruling by the Supreme Court. I don't think that this will deny the LGBT community any civil rights or anything. I don't believe that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they would simply just find another baker or something. Let the free market handle it anyway. Don't let the federal government do that. If you don't, besides, as a person who is a supporter of religious freedom and is very conservative about that, I think that this is definitely an important step, because this is getting to the point where this would easily get to the point where the idea of tolerance and individual freedoms is blurred. The line is blurred, and there needs to be a way to clear that blur up. My name is Noah on the Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, and subscribe and share with your friends. See ya.